I started the Throne of Glass series a year ago at this point. I read the first book, and then over this fall I read pretty much all the other books. I have them all right here. I have been putting off the tandem read because I am terrified of doing this. These are my next reads, and I haven't read a book in like a week. I've just been listening to audiobooks because I'm so scared. So I have post-it notes. We are going to put post-it notes tabbed for when I need to switch over in each of the books, and we are going to start these books so that I can hopefully complete this series and then reread Crescent City 1, read Crescent City 2, and get to Crescent City 3. The SJM Marvel Cinematic Universe is coming together, and I do not want to be left out on this part of book 2. We're gonna do this today. Let's go start tabbing these. I just pulled up the tandem read chart on my phone, and what I'm going to do, I literally had to buy an extra thing of tabs for this because I do want to color code these. I am going to do orange tabs for Tower of Dawn, purple obviously for Empire of Storms, and just put a tab after each chapter that I need to switch in between books. I'm also trying to do this without like looking too heavy at the books because I don't want to spoil anything. Not that like I really would be able to spoil anything, because I feel like you know how I feel about this series. So that's the first tab. You can't even really see it because I put that really close. Anyways, let's do this. Okay, I am about halfway through tabbing up Tower of Dawn. I made the mistake, so I was following directly the chart. I was tabbing the chapters that say chapter 1 through 5. I would tab chapter 5, but actually I'm supposed to be tabbing chapter 6. The tab is where you switch over in the book. I had to restart, but this is right now what this one's looking like. I have a little bit more of this book to tab, and then I'm going to switch back over to the other one. I'm just going book by book because it was too complicated to go back and forth. Yeah, I officially used up all of my purple tabs, so it's good that I got more tabs at Target the other day. I'm gonna finish this off camera just because this is taking so long. I finished tabbing the books. They look like this. Definitely looks cool. These are probably some of my like most tabbed books. I guess there's nothing to do now except actually start reading. Let's get into it, I guess. Hello. I am freshly showered. I have no excuses anymore. We are going to start the tandem read. I'm not going to lie. I have not read a physical book in I want to say like a week and a half. I've just been listening to audiobooks. I definitely feel like January is going to be the month that audiobooks take over my monthly wrap up because I've just been eating them up. It's all I listen to at work now. I don't really listen to podcasts. And the problem is I've not been reading a physical book since the last book that I finished, which was... Fuck, I can't even think of the last book that I finished. Maybe it was Twilight. I have no idea. I haven't read another book since the last book that I finished because I knew that I wanted to start my tandem read. I didn't want to have to start and finish an entire book before this, but I've not been ready to start this. I think I'm very nervous because I don't remember like basically anything that's been going on in the series. We're gonna start it. I really have nothing to do where I can be like, oh, I'm gonna do this and then I'll start it. I've been saying all week and all weekend I'm gonna spend my weekend reading these books, and it's Sunday at 4 p.m. I work tomorrow. I haven't even started these. I did not start my spread on my book journal of like the trackers, so I have to like look at my phone quick. So you start off on Empire of Storms. Let's do it. Let's get it started. Bro, we're in war. I need to look up what happens in the last book because I forgot. Give me a second. First off, I'm playing with Stella right now. Googling what happens in Queen of Shadows because it's been a few months since I read it. Is the reason I don't like the book because it's written in third point of view? Is that the fucking reason that I can't like get this book, is because it's third point of view and it's so many characters? I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to reading, I just do it. I don't even think about like grammatically anything unless it's really, really bad. I can't believe it's taken me 5 books to realize that she writes in third point of view for this series. I remember something about a glass castle. Give me a second, I'm gonna read through this. I just read through that and I'm gonna try and get back into this and see if I can understand it. I look slightly crazy. I'm on the first switchover of the books. I am right now on page 75 of the Empire of Storms, and I'm liking it so far. With me, like, putting together that the reason I don't like the book is because the writing is in third person, and that's what wasn't clicking for me. I don't want to jinx myself, but I'm really liking this so far. I believe I have just one chapter to read out of this, and then I go back to this. I made some cookie dough, and I'm gonna eat cookie dough and read this chapter. I'm nervous though because this is the one out of the two of them people do not like out of the tandem read, but we'll see how I feel. Hello. So it is a couple days later and I have some things to talk about. So I'm right now on page 122 of Empire of Storms, chapter 12. And then I'm on page 93 or chapter 8 of Tower of Dawn. I totally understand when people say that they like Empire of Storms better out of the two. There's more characters in this book and then also more going on in this book. This one, I've heard people explain that it's this specific character's redemption arc. It's just about the one character in this book. Here's the thing. I think I forgot some things that happened in the last book because there's something, I'm trying to make this as non-spoiler as I can, even though these are like literally the last two before the last book in this series. So anything that I talk about is going to be a spoiler. Like, I didn't know some of like the health things that were going on, and I am confused when that happened because I really do not remember that. I don't have a lot to say about this book because also, like I said, I'm literally only on chapter 8. This one, however, because there's more storylines and I'm following more characters, I have a little bit more opinions on it. Now, first off, I've kind of talked about this throughout videos that I posted recently, and I did not like specific characters in this series. I'm going to say the character's name, Manon. Didn't like her. She is one of my favorite characters to read about now. And then also a lead. I also did not care about her character, and now her character chapters are some of the most interesting chapters. So I'm really enjoying those two. I would say if I have to pick favorite characters in this series right now, it's Dorian, Alid, and Lorcan. They seem to have interesting chapters. I don't really know where that's gonna go. Right now, I can definitely see how like everything is starting to wrap up and characters are starting to meet each other. Why people are so obsessed with this series, I can see. Is it worth reading all of those beginning books just to get to these two? I'm not sure yet. I will give you more updates when I have them. I do know I have, I think, a couple chapters in this, and then I have a pretty big chunk of this book to read. So yeah, I will say if you're going to do this tandem read, definitely do the little tabbing on the side. It helps a lot. I've also been keeping it tracked on my phone. I've just been like scratching out the chapters that I've been reading on this little like tandem reading chart. I need to make my book journal spread, but I'm a little too lazy to do that right now. So we will do that later in this video. Let's get back into it. Can I say something? I hate when authors use the phrase so-and-so stuck their tongue out at something, like going like this. No one does that. Oh, I hate it so much. I hate it so much. I think what they're trying to avoid is saying like the character flicked off something, but I would rather you just write that. Like no one just sticks their tongue out in a like F-U way. Oh, it's so cringy. I am on 146, and I know in the last update I literally said that I understand why people don't like Tower of Dawn or like it less out of the two of them. But right now I like the storyline going on in Tower of Dawn a little bit more. But especially for me, I don't like reading a lot of point of views. Doing a tandem read, I'm reading even more point of views than if I would have just read this one and then read that one. I don't know. I'm having a good time, but yeah, that's my little update. But yeah, I'm gonna try and just read a ton tonight. Hello. I have been reading, and I read a little bit at work today. I am right now on page 263 or chapter 30 of Empire of Storms, and then I'm right now on page 296 and chapter 25 of Tower of Dawn. I'm definitely noticing how all the characters are coming together and storylines are coming together. While I was at work today, I was thinking how, now granted, I don't know off the top of my head when the Assassin's Blade came out, all of the like prequels of this series. I don't know when that book came out, but I can't imagine reading these books and not having read the Assassin's Blade, because you're starting to meet all of these characters and there's all of these references back to those little novellas. I will say I really wish I would have read The Assassin's Blade first. I'm really enjoying this one. There is this storyline going on right now. I bookmarked one of the chapters. I bookmarked chapter 27. I really liked that chapter. I don't necessarily want to talk directly about what it was about because I'm trying to keep this as minimal spoilers as I can. I will say this is a minor spoiler. If you want absolutely no spoilers, skip this little part, but I'm not going to say between who, but there's a ship in this book that I feel might come, and I'm very excited for it too because I ship them very hard. I can tell like this one is just the redemption arc of that one character. It's starting to kind of drag. Like I understand why people would be so bored of this book if they read this book in one go. It's really the same thing happening like in every chapter in this book, versus I feel like with reading it in the tandem read, you're pretty much always on a cliffhanger or some sort of like interesting plot. If this character's plot and storyline isn't interesting, this other character's will be. I'm liking this. Everything's starting to connect, and also the characters that I did not like, I am starting to like. I don't know if that is because, you know, in the beginning of this video I realized like, hey, this being in third person POV, maybe that's why I can't, like I just don't get it, is because I don't like that type of writing. I usually like a first person POV book. Now that I understand that that might be why I don't like this book, I'm finally like liking the book. I'm going to read some more tonight and just have a little relaxing night and try and get quite a bit into this. Still have yet to make my little spread in my reading journal. We'll get around to that. Hopefully. It is kind of annoying having to go back and forth between the books. Like when I was at work today and I was reading 2 chapters here and then having to close my book and go to the other one, like that is kind of annoying. I believe there's a Kindle edition of the 2 books just like put together. I don't know. It's a full experience and I am enjoying it. For how scared I was to start this, I don't know. I think I started this Sunday and it's only Wednesday and I'm like 40% through both of the books. That's pretty far. I've read 400 and something pages, which is a whole book. I'm gonna start reading. I will see you with updates whenever I see you. I can't really see my viewfinder right now because the lighting is so crazy and it's just reflecting off of it. But good morning, it is Saturday. It's almost been a week of me reading these books and I don't really have any plans today. I think the only thing that I'm gonna go do today is I have to go buy snow pants because we're going snowboarding next weekend with some friends. I need to go do that today, but except for that, I'm gonna have a chill day. I just really want to sit down and read. I think since the new year I haven't really just sat and binge read a book. I'm not gonna lie, like if I didn't have to work a corporate America job, I probably would have read these in like 2 days if I could just sit and binge read these. So I think today I really just want to sit and read as much as I can. I read a little bit at work. I don't really think I've read much more since the last time I updated this video, which I don't even know when that was. I'm on page 344 of this book and I believe I'm right before, yeah, the next switch over between the 2 books. I have to read a large chunk of Empire of Storms. Yeah, I'm excited to do this. Just spend the day reading, hanging out. Might make some matcha, some tea, maybe a latte, not really sure. see me? I made a matcha because, listen, this sun in my eyes is like making my eyes burn, and then I just felt like I needed a nap, so I made a matcha. Which I also recently just bought the Oatly oat milk that's like literally just oats and water, not all of the fillings. Stella is obsessed with my cup holders because they're cork and she loves to chew these things up. The matcha slays. And of course, I'm still directly in the fucking way of the sun. Oh my gosh. Okay, I made it to the switch over. So now I have to read a very large chunk out of this book. Oh, maybe I don't. Where's my phone? I guess I have one more chapter until the large chunk of this book to read. Like I've been talking about, it's been very nice to see how they've been connecting all of the books together in these books. I totally forgot about the spiders. I forgot that that was even in this series. I felt like I knew that I had read that, but I didn't remember that it was from the Throne of Glass series. And now they're talking about those spiders in these books, and it's just been nice to see like callbacks to the earlier books and everything. So yeah, I've really been enjoying this. I guess we will read. I have one more chapter and then I have the big switch over between books. Let's do this. Hello. This is gonna have heavy spoilers. I'm on chapter 35. You were balanced on my air purifier. I'm right now on chapter 35 of Empire of Storms. This is gonna have major spoilers. If you have not read the book, skip to this time if you don't want any spoilers, even though I've kind of been talking about spoilers throughout this. I had to literally Snapchat my one friend Caitlin because she is the reason I'm reading this series, and she like absolutely adores this series. I'm at the part where Aelin and Rowan are basically, they go to like the core of their power to destroy this fleet. And I don't know what I just read. I don't know if I read this correctly. I don't know if I'm just not conceptualizing it well. I feel like right now I've been listening to so many audiobooks this month that I feel like actually like reading a book, I can't visualize anything. Like it's fucked my reading up, listening to that many audiobooks, but also at the same time, I love audiobooks. But she goes to like the core of her power, and there's like a moon queen, Deanna, the queen who was promised. We start this series with Selena, and then she becomes Aelin, or maybe it's the other way, I don't really remember. But now is she someone else? And I've never once heard this name mentioned, and I've seen so many spoilers for the Throne of Glass books. I've never once heard this name mentioned or talked about. Never mind, I just watched Caitlin snap and she just explained it to me. Guys, my hair looks so bad. In the first book, what's happening is a callback to that because it's a goddess in this series and she is supposedly always watching out for her people, whatever. I'm gonna try and read through. Stella is right now on my desk, so she's shaking what you're balanced on. I'm gonna try and read through. I have about like maybe 90 pages to read before I do another update, because then I'll be on another switch over between the books. I want to read this big chunk, see what's going on. I need to reread the ACOTAR series, and I almost hate how popular the ACOTAR series has gotten because it almost feels weird to like reread it, enjoy it now. I don't know, it's weird. I read it for the first time back in 2020, and I need to buy the first book because I had borrowed the first book from my friend Haley. Is Queen Maeve in the ACOTAR series too? Because there's Maeve in this series, and I'm pretty sure that's one of the queens in the ACOTAR series. And listen, I already kind of know the stuff that happens in the Crescent City books. I read the first book, loved that book. I think I gave it a 4 or 5 star. Read a little bit of the second book. I really want to finish this series, and then I'm going to go back into that second book and finish it. But I already had the ending spoiled for me. So I understand how SJM is building their sort of cinematic universe. Maeve that's in this series, the same as Maeve in ACOTAR. Is there a Maeve in ACOTAR? Am I remembering this correctly? I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to finish reading this a little bit and then I will come back to you with some updates about how I'm feeling. I feel like this video is super long. I am so sorry. Hello. I just got back from, I had to go run and get snow pants like I talked about earlier, but I went to Barnes & Noble and actually I had to go to 2 because they didn't have both the books that I needed. So I got Kingdom of Ash, this chunker of a book, literally like 900 pages. So this will be the next book that I read, I believe. I got this because I know Empire of Storms is supposed to end on a cliffhanger. So I'm still, it's like 5 o'clock. I still have it in me that I could maybe finish the books tonight. Will it be at like 2 in the morning? Yeah. I also got the collector's edition of ACOTAR. So I actually want to open this now. Like I said earlier, I don't own ACOTAR because I borrowed it from a friend. I have the original covers for all the other books. I just don't have this. So I thought instead of buying the other one, I would buy this. I'm so excited. I've seen so many TikToks about this. It's super pretty. This is the little like wooden, not wooden, cardboard cover. And then it just says that. I know this is literally a tandem reading vlog, but it's SJM anyways, so I feel like y'all would like this. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You guys, this is so pretty. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. So I got those 2. I right now have about like a chapter left of the big chunk in Empire of Storms before I go back to Tower of Dawn. So I'm just gonna chill and read for the rest of tonight. I will probably update you either if something super exciting happens, or I'll update you tomorrow if I don't get around to finishing the books today. I'll see ya when I see ya. Hello, guys. It's the next day and I finished the books. Listen, take it from me, someone who has been a pretty proud, I wouldn't say a hater of this series, but I did not enjoy this series up until this point. These books are so beyond worth it. I had the best time reading these books. I also think the experience of reading these books together and having to read them in a tandem setting was so perfect, because anytime this book would start to get slow, this book would have something interesting going on. Even though you're reading, like, if it was 600 pages each book, you're reading like 1200 pages, it doesn't feel like you're reading that many pages, or it doesn't feel like it's taking that long to read, because you're realistically reading maybe 2 or 3 chapters of each book before you switch to the next book. I feel like I had almost an opposite reaction of that. I feel like most people think it takes forever to read these books because you have to go back and forth. I can't wait to edit this video, and in the start of this video I'm just a solid hater of this experience, and then the end of this video is me absolutely loving it. I finished it just literally like 5 seconds ago and I had to turn on my camera. The end of this book, crazy, it does leave out, or it leaves on a like big cliffhanger, and this one kind of finishes out. I know most people don't like this book because they say it drags on. I enjoyed this book more than I thought I was going to. If I would have read this book by itself, like if I would have read this book first and then read this book, I would have hated it, even though in the beginning of this video I'm pretty sure I said that I probably would have liked that. It is so important because I can tell there are going to be things in the next book that they talk about in this book, but it just feels pointless because there's almost so much going on in this book. For final ratings of these books, I am giving this book a 4-star. It was so good, it was so worth it. And this book I'm giving a 3.75. So they're pretty close to each other. I liked them pretty similarly. I feel like I just had a very good reading experience in general. I loved these. These were so good. I'm so excited. My next read I'm going to do is just jumping straight into the last book of this series. Who would have thought me in the fall hating on these books, to me now in 2024 absolutely adoring these books. We have one last thing to do before we can start the last book. We are officially going to be putting these in my bookshelf on my Sarah J. Maas shelf. I'm so excited to start Kingdom of Ash, but that is not what this video is, and I bet this video has already been so long. If you've watched until this point, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. I will see you in my next video.